Viewers and subscribers, welcome back to Beating the Press podcast. I am your host, Rafa. Now, coming up in this evening's podcast, we're going to be previewing the big game taking place this weekend, the Champions League final. Dortmund takes on Real Madrid. And here to help me to preview this match, we have returned into the podcast, Christoph.
Good to be back, viewers.
Yes, indeed, Christoph. The big one is upon us. The last major trophy of the footballing calendar. The big one, the Champions League final. This one taking place over there in Wembley. Dortmund versus Real Madrid. Of course, Real Madrid going for their 15th hole on the Champions League title. And Dortmund, they have won it once before. Christoph, talk to us about this game. How do you see both teams entering into this match?
Um, it's a very big fixture. I mean, last club fixture of the season. We have the Euros coming up. Um, Personally, I can't really see beyond Real Madrid winning, to be honest, to get their 15th Champions League title. I mean, if they have to beg, borrow, steal, or buy, Madrid looks very likely to win.
Yeah, well, that's a big call there, Christoph. I mean, coming out of the blocks without giving much background, much context to this one. I mean, personally, I do give Dortmund a punching chance or a
Oh
puncher's
no,
chance, to be
don't get
honest.
me wrong. I fully believe Dortmund have enough about them to win. I feel like this season in their league they've been a little disappointing, but they've done very well in the Champions League and have probably exceeded all expectations for the Champions League this season. Players like Jadon Sancho was very impressive this Champions League campaign, and we know we have players like Royce and Hummels who are leaving or retiring from Dortmund. So this is their final chance to potentially win a trophy with Dortmund.
Yeah, and that should act as some sort of additional motivation as well. But let's not forget, Cruz on the Real Madrid side as well, Christoph, is also on his way out. This will be his last club match also. And of course, his Real Madrid teammates will be looking to send him off on a winning note. And of course, as you mentioned, the Euros are coming up. So he will be playing in his last Euros for Germany as well, and pretty much bringing an end to his footballing career. But this is a tough fixture, Christoph. I mean, big match, big fixture. Anything can happen in a one-hour final, as we saw with that FA Cup clash between Man City and Manchester United. I mean, United was the big underdog going into that game, but in a one-half game, anything can happen. And for me, Christoph, I am leaning towards a Dortmund upset in this one. I'm just banking on the law of averages. Madrid have been to the finals and so many times and have come out winners. It's no time for them to lose one, is my call.
Um, I agree with you. I mean, this Madrid team does have a wealth of experience in Champions League finals because with the likes of Cruz, Madrid, Carvajal, Courtois, and I believe Vinicius Junior has also won the Champions League final. Um, I think well, coming into this season, I thought the weakness of this Madrid team at the beginning of the season would have been their lack of a big player up front, a Karim Benzema, a quality striker. But Jude Bellingham has pretty much stepped in and filled that role very well. So you can't even say it's a weakness for them. This season it has been a lack of a striker has been a strength for them with
Yeah,
those
definitely. I
late
mean,
runs
the
from
the
Bellingham.
experience of Ancelotti, Christoph, it's really down to that manager, Ancelotti. He has
Oh,
found a
definitely.
way to allow these players, which he has at his disposal, and he has fashioned a system of play to maximize the strength of these players. And Bellingham coming into the team was just a catalyst for that, and he has definitely lived up to expectation, winning La Liga Player of the Year. And as we spoke earlier on in the podcast, Christoph, he is one of the prime candidate for the Ballon d'Or. And if he can come up big in this final, getting a goal or an assist or contributing significantly. And then, of course, going on with England to have a solid enough Euro campaign. I mean, the writing would be on the wall for Bellingham to lift and bring home the Ballon d'Or, one of very few English players to ever do so. I believe the last Ballon d'Or winner for England was Michael Owen while he was playing for Liverpool. So this will be a massive achievement for Bellingham, one so young, if he was indeed able to lift the Ballon d'Or when that title is handed out. But in terms of this game, Christoph, in terms of starting 11, do you see the coaches making any significant changes? Read their starting 11, or will they stick to the tried, tested formula, which has brought them this far in the competition? Of course, Madrid knocking off Man City on their way, and of course, Dortmund putting a nail in that PSG coffin and really sinking them and making their way to the final. But do you see the coaches making any significant changes for this final?
Barring injuries, I expect Real Madrid to kind of go with what they've been playing for majority of the season. I think the only change in the midfield for them is whether it will be Cruz or Madrid who starts there. But you can expect Valverde, Camavinga, Bellingham, Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. up front. Um I think the back four will remain unchanged. Carvajal, Rudiger, Mendy, and is it Nacho, I
Nacho,
believe,
Nacho,
who
that's
has
right.
been playing.
There might be some
I think
question mark over the
Courtois
goalkeeper though.
is injured, I believe. So
No,
the
Quartar is back. Quartar is back. Lunin, I was reading, was suffering from some sort of sickness. So to me, that goalkeeper position might be a toss-up. Quartar just coming back from injury. Maybe he has 2, 3 games under his belt. And of course, he was left out of the Belgium squad as well, Christoph. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but he was left out of the Belgium squad for the Euros. So this may very well be his final game of the season as well. If Courtois was given the starting berth, or Lunin, Lunin has played the majority of the Champions League campaign while Courtois was out injured, and he did quite well. I mean, bringing Real Madrid to the final. I'm not sure if Ancelotti may show some sympathetic picking, so to speak, and allow Lunin to play in the final, seeing that he has been the linchpin in that Real Madrid goal throughout this entire Champions League campaign. It would be a devastating blow, I think, for Lunin if he was not to start this one. Having, as I mentioned, been in the goal all of the Champions League campaign, only to miss out in the final. But, Ancelotti knows best. He is a tried, tested, proven manager, one with loads of experience. He is the winningest Champions League coach currently. He now has 4 titles, Christoph, 2 with AC Milan, and of course 2 with Real Madrid. So if he was to lift this one, he would just extend that winning of Champions League title to 5. So currently, wealth of experience unquestioned in terms of his tactics and his ability to manage big name, big players. They have been through the Ancelotti camp, and quality is there. So from a managerial point of view, definitely advantage Real Madrid. But on the Dortmund side, however, Christoph, we see the rise of the likes of Sancho, for example, left Manu and is now doing pretty well over there at Dortmund. Adeyemi with his pace down the flank. And of course, the big German up front, Fulkirk, who will be looking to get onto a few crosses and possibly upset the apple cart by scoring a goal or two. He will be up against his German teammate, Rudiger. Can Rudiger stop Fulkirk is the question, Christoph. We saw where Rudiger shackled Haaland. Can he shackle Fulkirk is the question.
I mean, given how Haaland is expected to play at Man City, I don't believe it's very difficult to shackle him. We've seen
But many have
Ru
tried and
Ru
failed.
Rudiger is probably the first we've seen to do it last season. But since then, we've seen a number of teams shackle Haaland in games. Haaland has not been as prolific as he was last season. The teams have adjusted, and he's struggling to find the form that he had last year. Not to say that his numbers are bad, because he scored 20 plus goals this Premier League campaign and won the Golden Boot. So he's still a deadly threat up front, but we've seen where he can be shackled. As for Fulkirk, I think it would be detrimental solely to focus on him, because there are two other players who, well, I would say three other players who potentially have a lot of goals in them. Sancho, Adiame, and not to mention Marco Rice has had last 2 seasons have been excellent for him in
Well,
the
Rice
attacking
could be a
sense.
good threat off the bench. I personally don't believe Rice will start. I think Brandt will get the start, and then possibly Rice coming on to possibly score a goal, or to get his final hurrah in the submarine yellow.
Possibly, but I'm actually expecting Marco Rice to start in a more attacking midfield role. I'm expecting him to bring that experience to the midfield, and we can expect a very workman like approach from him in this game.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, definitely Real Madrid may be the one to take the game to Dortmund. They may have a majority of possession. Similar, I would say this game would be similar to that PSG game in the semi-final, where Dortmund for long stretches has to battle down and really defend for dear life. And then, of course, playing on the counter with the speed merchant, Adeyemi up front. And of course, Sancho with his technical and tactical skill set really posing a threat out wide, in all honesty. And he has been a revelation ever since his reintroduction over there in Germany. So the threat from Dortmund is definitely there. Of course, Dortmund often play with a double pivot right there in the heart of midfield. Khan is one of those players which have been having a tremendous season, playing that defensive midfield role. And he will be hoping to continue his great form into this one also. And defensively, it's a tried and tested experience of Hummels. You could say Hummels, Christoph, is one of the top ball playing center backs we have in the world currently. And he has had a tremendous season for Dortmund, really leading from the front and really bringing them to this final, getting a few goals from set pieces as well. So this Dortmund team could possibly get a set piece goal. Also, especially as you say, if Rice does get the start, he is a real threat from dead ball situations.
Indeed. I think the power for Real Madrid is going to come from the pace and trickery of both Vinicius and Rodrigo. But those late runs that Bellingham makes into the box are what are probably their most deadly weapon this season. Bellingham has scored a number of goals and broken a number of goal scoring records this season. So that is something that is a bit hard to track unless you sacrifice a man to man mark him in the game. Um, I don't know.
I
I
mean, I
still
believe the
think
days of man marking are done, Christoph. It will be
I
a team
I don't
approach, in
believe
all
I,
honesty. Maybe
I don't
there's an
believe so.
extra emphasis on tracking that midfield runner. But I can't see Dortmund really sacrificing a player to man mark a Jude Bellingham,
I
to,
don't think
in
so.
all honesty.
We've seen man marking. We've seen man marking in the Champions League just a couple of weeks ago. We've
Oh,
seen
who was that?
we've seen Erling Haaland man marked repeatedly.
Well, I mean, no, well, I mean, it's two different type of player. I mean, a forward can easily be man marked, but a midfielder is all over the pitch. Pretty much, I don't see teams really disrupting their entire tactical approach to man mark a player like a Bellingham. I can understand where a out and out number 9 is man marked naturally. Uh, you know, but as you say, in the case of Haaland, Rudiger was like closely tied to him. I can see that, but I can't really see a roaming player such as Jude Bellingham really being man marked to any great degree of success when there is so many other threats around you. And that is the danger that this Dortmund team will face. The threats which are there. Real Madrid have players which can come up with big goals in big moments. There's, the Vinicius Jr., the Rodrigo as well. Valverde does have a cracker of a shot from outside the box also. And of course, you have players like Joselu, who came off the bench versus Real Madrid and got a double. I mean, versus Bayern Munich and got a double in that semi-final to pretty much sink Bayern Munich and crush all hopes of Kane lifting a trophy. So quality is there, not only in the starting 11, but there are players who are on the bench who could possibly come into the game and make a big impact, a big splash. And, these are top-notch players, the best money can buy in many instances. So definitely, when you look at this Dortmund team, they are definitely the underdogs coming into this game. But I do give them a chance in this one, Christoph. This is a one-off game. Anything can happen in a one-off game. They say the ball is round. Possibly, if this Dortmund team can come and play without fear, then the pressure should really be off them, and the pressure should be on Real Madrid to really go out and get this victory.
I mean, I can agree with you that it's the type of game where you either come with a very specific game plan or you play with the freedom afforded that you potentially don't have anything to lose, specifically if everybody's expecting you to lose.
That is it. That is it. That's exactly it. You're expected to lose, so why not play with freedom and play with a real tactical approach? Take the game by the scruff of the neck, and hopefully you can get an upset in this one. And I am banking on an upset. Viewers and subscriber Christoph, I'm banking on an upset for this one. I'm hoping, I should say, the law of averages finally catch up on Real Madrid. They have won 14 titles, the most of any other club in the world. And they're going for their 15th. So I am hoping the law of averages, having been to so many finals, that finally one of these will catch up on them. Of course, the last time Dortmund was there, it was under Jurgen Klopp in the same stadium versus Bayern Munich, Christoph. And on that day, it was Bayern Munich who got the win. So Dortmund as a club would have a good, rich history at Wembley. Will that count for anything in this game, though?
I can't say. I mean, it's even though Dortmund have had good games at Wembley, it's not the same Dortmund side.
Definitely. I mean, those players would have long gone. Maybe Rice is the only remaining member of that squad, which Jurgen
Um,
Klopp had taken to
maybe Hummels
Wembley. Possibly a Hummels, because I do believe Hummels had gone to Bayern Munich
and
and then
return.
returned to Dortmund. So he may have been one of those surviving members of that squad as well, which Jurgen Klopp had taken to Wembley under his tutelage. As mentioned, that day Bayern Munich came out the winners. So again, with the numbers, hoping that the law of averages, maybe the second time is the charm for this Dortmund team, having now going to be playing a second final at that Wembley Stadium over there in England. Of course, viewers and subscribers, this one is coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So set your clock, set your watches, set your alarms. Don't miss a minute of that. I am sure the TV broadcasters, of course, this is a massive game, so they will have a big pre-game show leading up to this one, but kickoff is scheduled for 3 p.m. sharp. But Christoph, in terms of a tactical approach, what says you in terms of the managers? Will the managers be looking to change anything tactically per se? And who do
Um,
you think will get the advantage there?
I think for the most part, Carlo Ancelotti will probably stick to what has worked for most of the season with only very minor tactical tweaks or tweaks on the fly as the match has gone along. As for Dortmund, I think they are likely to take a very counter-attacking approach, given that you would probably expect Madrid to sort of dominate the game. I think Dortmund's shape lends itself to being very strong counter-attacking wise, especially because of how Madrid also play. The midfield can be very narrow with the width expected to come from either the fullbacks or those central midfielders pulling very wide. So it's going to open up space either on the wings or open up the space centrally for the Dortmund attack, and that is why I'm expecting them to counter, mostly counter attack. But I'm expecting that they'll create chances otherwise. But I think for them, counter attacking will be most dangerous, especially with Adeyemi.
Definitely. I mean, he has been that outlet for this Darkman team, in all honesty. Speedster with good dribbling skills. Possibly could catch one of those Real Madrid defenders in some one-on-one situation, especially out there on the flanks, like Safa Carvajal, getting on in age, may not have the legs, especially as the game wears on. And, Adeyemi could potentially draw some fouls, get these defenders into early trouble, that sort of thing, or even skin one of these defenders on the flank and get a chance on goal. So definitely he is one of the main danger man, I would say, going into this game. So it should be a battle royale heading into this Champions League final. Definitely a mouth-watering fixture that I'll be looking forward to. But Christoph, the big question is, who are you calling to win this one, and by what scoreline? What is your predicted score for this one?
Um, I I would love for Dortmund to win, but I think that would be the best for the competition itself, just to prove that the Champions League is the toughest competition and so on. But like I said, I think Madrid will win. Even if they have to buy the match, they're going to win. But I'm expecting Dortmund to win 3-1. Sorry, not Dortmund. I'm expecting Madrid to win 3-1.
Madrid, you're saying 3-1, but Christoph, I personally have to go in the opposite direction. I just feel the law of averages will catch up on Real Madrid in this fixture. I must admit, they are definitely the favorites going into this one. They have the better players on paper. They have the better, more experienced manager in the dugout. They have the better individual players in terms of players who can turn up with show a bit of magic and really create a goal out of nothing, so to speak. They have the advantage going into this one. However, as they say in football, the ball is round, and in a one-off match, in a one-off final, in a game on neutral grounds in the stadium of Wembley over there in England, I am banking on an upset for this Real Madrid team. So for me, Christoph, I am gonna go with both teams to score. Yes, but I believe Dortmund will get that extra goal and come away victors. So for me, I'm gonna call this one 2-1 in favor of Dortmund. So the trophy heading back to Germany, and hopefully with this Champions League heading to Germany, it can galvanize the national team, and hopefully they can match with taking a victory in the Euros. So for me, Christoph, this one, I'm calling it as an upset. I'm going to back Dortmund for a 2-1 victory.
Can't
What
really
say?
say anything. I say Madrid. I think Madrid win.
All right, no problem. Well, this is a good one to watch. Definitely, viewers and subscribers, and we are definitely looking forward to this. But looking further afield, Christoph, in terms of some early Euros, we see a number of squads being announced. We see some players surprise exclusions. Early Euro thoughts based on some of the squads you've seen being announced recently.
Um, I I think I think it's down to the performances. I think there are three strong teams that could win the Euros, but we know how it is sometimes where teams, they don't show up, they underperform, complacency. I think England should win the Euros, right? Based on their squad, their talent, their players, how they've been performing. I also think France is in with a very strong chance because of the quality that they have in the team. They went to the World Cup finals. barely lost. And I also think that Portugal have a very strong squad, and they, you know, if they utilize Cristiano Ronaldo up top and in the manner, he's the best goal scorer in the world, right? So
So
I think
which
those
team
three.
would you say is a fourth team to throw in the mix? I mean, just to give possibly a final four. Which fourth team do you think will, possibly make it into that semi-final? Or who would you say is a good fourth option to look at? I mean, you have
Um,
the likes of a Holland, a Belgium, Italy. I mean, defending champions, Italy.
um, it's a bit difficult to rule out Italy just because of how they play.
Germany is there
They
as
have
well.
the potential. I don't see Germany. I don't see Germany making it to the finals. They might make it to the quarter. I think I want to give it to Belgium. I think their squad is strong. I think a number of the players that they have selected in the squad have had strong seasons, so there is that potential there. So I would go with Belgium for now as the
Mhm.
fourth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, early Euro news, early squad releases. Yeah, interesting times ahead, definitely. Definitely some interesting time ahead. Germany, for me, I can't count Germany out, being the host country. Of late, they have been on a decline, but they do have the pedigree, they do have the football heritage. As Mourinho would say, they have 3 Euros. England have zero. England is yet to win a Euro. So that is against this England team. And we've seen over the years that no matter how good this England team is, some way, somehow, they manage to lose it. We saw that when they made it to the final versus Italy. Some way, somehow, they just managed to lose it. But of course, every Euros has a surprise team, a team, thereabouts, a team you're not necessarily expecting to win, but a team which comes out of the blue. I'm not sure who the dark horse might be. I mean, you also have the likes, second tier teams, so to speak, the likes of a Croatia, for example. Hungary, Christoph, is there. Netherlands or Holland, the Dutch is there as well. I mean, they have been underperforming. Spain, Christoph, is also there. Many persons are overlooking Spain, but Spain has a solid core of players, in all honesty. And for me, they may be that fourth team. They are unfancied, not getting much attention. But when you look at the individual players in that Spanish squad, they definitely have some quality. But you did mention Portugal, and I think on paper, Portugal has to be one of your favorite teams. In all honesty, just look at the likes of a Bernardo Silva, Cancela, Jota. Of course, the veteran Cristiano Ronaldo is there, and he will be motivated to try and take some of the shine off Messi. And of course, you know, Diaz is there in the heart of their defense as well. So when you look at this Portugal squad, it is plattered with quality. So they definitely have a shot going into this Euros. But any of the unfancy team, Christopher's caught your attention thus far?
Not really, to be honest. I haven't seen anything from any, player who I feel has been, outstanding, could potentially carry a team. I mean, there's always the possibility of some team, mixing it up and outperforming themselves, but at the moment, I don't think so. I I think for like all right, for like France, the likes of Deschamps and Southgate, who I believe have been playing it very safe with their squad selections and the way that they've been playing, I think it takes them far. It will take them to at least the quarter or semifinals. But I think unless, they can, you know, switch up and kind of unleash the players that they have, really. Um, I don't really see them winning. They have the potential to win. It's there. They're very
So who
talented.
who is your early call to win though, Christoph? I mean, which team would you say is your early call to win? Are you sticking by England?
I would say England have the best chance of winning, but like we said, they've never won a Euros. They failed to win last time at home at Wembley when they should have been winning, I think quite easily. But I think it was the experience of Italy that kind of, defeated them. It went down to the penalty shootout and, luck of the draw. But it was definitely the the experience of Italy that prevented them from going on and winning in full time.
Definitely they get another bite of that proverbial apple, viewers and subscribers. But this is an early insight, an early look. The Euros kicks off on June 10. So leading into that competition, we'll definitely be looking at the teams taking a closer look when squads are finalized. And of course, previewing the big matches coming up over there in Germany. Germany will be hosting the Euros this time around. But viewers and subscribers, big match on the weekend, the Champions League. That is where all attention will be this weekend over there at Wembley, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. if you're watching in Jamaica. And definitely looking forward to this one. But Christoph, any final thoughts, any final word for this Champions League final?
Uh, I hope it's a very explosive final. I'm hoping to be entertained. I would love for Dortmund to get that upset victory, so to speak, but I feel like it's Real Madrid all the way.
Real Madrid all the way is what Christoph is saying, viewers and subscribers. But viewers and subscribers, thank you again for tuning in to us here on Beating the Press podcast. Your support has been tremendous over the period. I'm just going to ask you to continue to share, like, leave your comments, and of course, tell us who you think will win this Champions League final. Leave your predictions in the comment section. But until next time, this is Rafa signing off.